Why did my adolescent male dog start smelling terrible at 4.5 months of age?
Well, that's probably his urine that's smelling, and he's not only does a little bit get left on him when he pees, but then he steps in it, then he scratches his ears and puts urine scent on his ears. So basically, he's starting to smell like an adult male dog. And this happens in most mammals when they reach puberty. With dogs, it's completely unique. It's unlike, or I should say, with canids, it's unlike any other mammal, um, in that usually what happens when the testes start to work and they produce testosterone, testosterone rises throughout a puberty, which causes a lot of these secondary sexual characteristics, deepening of the voice in humans, or growling, um, and the lion's mane, the gorilla's silverback,
Mhm.
So these have been pre-programmed neonatally that the animal will become male when it hits puberty, and then under the influence of pubertal testosterone, these changes happen. In dogs, testosterone starts to rise about 4 months, um, and gets really high by 10 months of age, but then it drops down to adult levels, which are lower than pubertal levels. And this is very unusual. Normally, it's very low, like in a young animal, rises through puberty and stays up there.
Mhm.
In dogs, it goes woo, woo. And to give you an idea, at 10 months, the level of testosterone in dogs is about 5 to 7 times greater than in adulthood. So it's enormous. And we actually were the people who co-discovered this. I was taking testosterone samples and they rose, and I'm really happy getting them back every month.
Yeah.
Then they started to drop. And then I thought, wow, that's a big drop. But I knew another experimenter, Ben Hart at Davis, was doing the same experiment. He was about 3 months ahead of us.
Mhm.
And I asked him, what his results were. And actually, he didn't want to tell me. So I told Dr. Beach, my mentor, and he called him up and he said, "Oh, Ben's getting the same results as us, and it's dropping really low in adulthood." So Ben Hart was the first person on it, but we were about 2 to 3 months behind him. And I thought, obviously the testosterone assays I'd screwed up. Um, and so the function of this is that now dogs in the pack, as everyone knows, dogs in the wild are usually pack animals. Not always. There are some dogs that live in families or individually, but in the pack, this is a way for pack members to know there's a developing male jerk in the social scene. And so what happens, as soon as the testosterone starts to rise, it's kind of like the puppy license to misbehave is cancelled. And it's quite abruptly. And now all adult animals, especially males, and especially those just a few months older than these puppies, will start to give the puppies grief. They will harass it endlessly. And so this is what owners see in dog parks, and they get very upset that what they thought's a puppy, but now it's 5 months, 6 months old, is getting grief. And it may not be aggressive. It's just a lot of dogs come around and sniff, a lot of dogs at once, and the puppies
Yeah.
are like petrified. But what this does is it prevents these puppies from ever making a challenge as an adult, because the status quo they grow up in is, if you like, behavioral nolo contendere. There's no contest.
Mhm.
How can a puppy compete not just with a 2 or 3-year-old adult, male or female, but with the entire pack?
Yeah.
And we see it when we watch puppies grow up. We had a pack of 24 dogs. Puppies playing with a leaf, that is instantly stopped. The older dogs come round, say, give us that leaf. Don't move, don't look at me, lie down. And it's amazing to see how these puppies are now sit staying, stand staying, down staying in the presence of their elders. And male dogs especially, if they grow up in a pack like that, if we leave them to their own devices, they never make a challenge. That's not to say that they daren't rebuke a higher ranking dog if it goes over the mark, and they do, and it's accepted. But by and large, they aren't going to challenge the hierarchy, and so it's harmonious. Because with a pack, it's not cool for pack members to fight and hurt each other.
Yeah.
So we want to reduce the challenges so the pack works as a very useful unit where each individual has its function. Not just everyone focuses on top dogs, but middle ranking dogs, and even the lowest worm in the pack. Well, let's say he's a little fearful, but he usually turns out to be the alarm barker. Like this, which does what? Well, now the rest of the pack can relax because they know, in our case, it was a dog called Whip. He will wake up and alert everyone if like people are coming in, or there's another dog, or a bird lands. Whip would let you know so the other animals can relax. So it's just basic physiology, but it has enormous behavioral implications. And whereas for most dogs, I would say, oh, castrate them. We don't need testicles. I mean, if you're not going to breed, it's just a pain. It makes the dogs eliminate more. It increases scent marking. It makes the dogs smell like now adult animals. Having said that, castrating the dog won't get rid of scent marking. It will decrease the frequency, but it won't stop the dog scent marking or being aggressive. It's very unusual, testosterone in dogs. But normally I say, oh, castrate them, unless you've got a dog who is a bit of a jerk. So like he's a bull terrier, or sometimes it's just a Labrador who is not in any way a snippy or aggressive, but he's over the top in his play style. I say, just keep his testicles on for a few more months, take him to the dog park every day, they will deal with it. And they do. Really well. So this is, I mean, I'm absolutely fascinated by this because this was what we studied. Looking at the effects of testosterone was a major part of our, well, I was with the study for 10 years. It was a 30-year study on dog, on the development of essentially sex differences. And of course, a major sex difference is testosterone.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating stuff, and it's very different in dogs. And a lot of vets don't know this. You see, because most animals, they have a problem, you castrate them. You know, why do they think they're castrating, you know, like bulls and rams that you're not going to use for breeding, you want to use for food? Well, so they are friendlier and can live together well. Pigs. I mean, there would be enormous fighting in pigs if they were all boars when they're growing up. It would just be like the Fight Club, you know. But this doesn't work in dogs. That the secondary sexual behaviors like marking, mating, aggression are emancipated from the need for adult testosterone. And then when we look at it, we found the actual levels of testosterone are very low in adult animals. They come here in this adolescent peak, which is equivalent to when a dog turns 4.5 months, you put a helmet on his head that's bright orange with a day-low beacon and a loudspeaker that says, developing jerk, developing jerk, developing jerk. So that's what the smell of testosterone does. And then the animals, if allowed to, take care of it and you don't get problems.